Welcome to the Complete Fitness Podcast with Core 4 Complete Fitness. Your episode is starting in 3, 2, 1.
Greetings, people. Happy first day of May. Hope you guys are having a good month of May so far, even though it's been one day, but that's one day nonetheless to start it off on the right foot. Before we get going, guys, into the podcast today, if you could do me a favor, if you're listening to this or watching us on YouTube, there's a subscribe button on pretty much every single platform that you can either see or watch us on. If you could hit the subscribe button, that way you get notified when we drop a new episode, and it helps grow the podcast because we don't put any money behind this thing. So, growing it through you guys. Please and thank you. And like always, if there's somebody that you know this podcast could help, feel free to share it with them. Send it to them in a text message, post it on social media, and we'll keep growing this thing through you guys. Now, today I wanted to talk about probably one of the hardest things when you start to get in shape. And that is like the feeling of you're stuck on an island that nobody can kind of relate to you. And you're like, I want to get in shape, I want to get healthy, but maybe my family or my friends aren't there yet. And it can feel like you're trapped, it can feel like alone, and they're inviting you out for happy hour, or inviting you out for drinks, or who knows what. They're going out to dinner after work, or they're sneaking donuts into the break room, and you're like, just nobody gets it. I'm by myself, I'm by myself, I'm by myself. But what happens if you can stay consistent long enough is eventually you'll start to kind of suck people into your orbit. And it doesn't become an island of one, it becomes an island of two. And then it becomes an island of three. And then three turns into four, four turns into five, and then over months and weeks, over and over again, eventually you're like, I have my new tribe, I have my new habits. We don't go eat donuts anymore, we don't go out for drinks anymore. If you do, it's not as frequently as before. And you start to have it grow as the weeks progress.
Yeah, you can, in the fitness world, it is always tough because for whatever reason, I feel like it comes with a bunch of slack. You'll be like, oh, Evan can't come out because he's going to the gym, or, oh, he's got to work out tomorrow morning, so he's too good for us. A lot of that type of tone tends to happen, and specifically with gym stuff, for some reason. But yeah, those are all temporary. And I think something that you alluded to, which happens in this example of, it's like, okay, let's say you have a Friday night going to get drinks group, friend, whatever. And Friday's turning into Saturday. Anyway, it hasn't been working for you. You've been doing it 10 years and you go, I feel kind of depressed every single weekend. I feel not good. I've gained a bunch of weight. I don't do whatever. It's just kind of the grander view. It's zoomed out in the grander view of what ends up being important. It's not to show or say that there's not that place for that anymore. It just doesn't have to be the number one priority. And it's very possible, we just get stuck in this old routine. So if you find fitness, for example, or something that is enjoyable to you, and you're starting to do that instead of, in this example, going out on Friday and Saturday, or you're doing it less often, instead of every weekend, it's once a month. The thing that's important to adhere to, which makes, in my experience, that kind of conflicting, oh, you got to go to the gym, because that's hard to hear and endure, really, is to know that it's all temporary. Because exactly like you said, eventually one of your friends who's also doing that also feels very similar to you and is also going to go, you know what? We've been giving Evan kind of some slack, but Evan's looking pretty good. I notice he's a little bit happier. I notice, it's now summertime. We're all out on this patio. I notice he's wearing clothes that I wish I would be comfortable in, and all of this kind of stuff. And it's a trickle down effect. So that's the hard thing about being a leader, right? In general, is trying to lead from the front. It's not like it's your responsibility per se to make all your friends fit and become fitness junkies. But in this example, it's a prime example of like sticking to your guns and knowing, one day this is going to be okay, and if it's not okay, it's not done, right? If a friend never really just kind of accepts you for just having this balance, they're not that great of a friend in this example anyway, which is a
Yeah.
whole nother conversation. But yeah, it's temporary. Those are temporary fixes. Stuff like little pleasure-seeking things like going out and getting bombed every Friday night. That's very temporary. Almost everybody wakes up Saturday with guilt and shame and not wanting to do that.
I agree. I'll give you an example. So there was a group of ladies that come to 8:30, and this started off, I think it was last spring maybe. They would work out at 8:30. That was a scheduled workout time, but then before that, they would go for like a walk around Milford. Um just to kind of get some steps in. And then that group of two turned into a group of three, and they were like, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" And then it was a group of four, and then a group of five, and now it's like a group of eight, but it's slowly beginning to grow and grow and grow and grow. And over time, if you can do that over and over and over again, you'll notice like you start to absorb people in without even trying. They're like, "Hey, you guys go for a walk, I want to go," or maybe you work out on a Friday at 5 o'clock, I want to go. But the hardest part, like I said in the beginning, is just starting, because you're going to be kind of, like I said, the leader that is supposed to lead the way for your tribe or for your group. Is my microphone being weird?
You sound good to me.
Oh, maybe it's just on my end. I'm going to move this over here just in case. But that's usually the hardest part, is putting your foot forward and saying, I want to change, I want to do this. The habits that I had before aren't serving me anymore. So I'm going to be the one to kind of break away from the mold and do what I have to do. And it's scary and it's intimidating. And your friends might give you crap. Oh, you changed. Oh, you do this. But it's only a matter of time before they're going to feel how you felt, like you said, Ev, and want to go, okay, you lost 20 pounds. You look great in your swimsuit now. How did you do this? I want in. I want to join you. Can you show me what you did? And then it turns into a group of two and three and four and five, and then eventually those becomes your new habits and routines.
Right. And you surround yourself with new people, and that's why like our gym is so great, like the group training thing is because you automatically have a new group of friends that are like-minded enough to know that we got to fit fitness into our life right now. And so maybe you have a group of friends that you see once a month or quarterly or whatever, however it works out. But as you go to the gym in a group setting, you're automatically meeting new friends, and you're hanging out with them every single day. Yeah, you're only doing fitness. You're not like going and doing a hang, but it's a great hang. It's a whole social, web that you cast just by starting to take care of yourself. So yeah, in many instances, it's kind of that breaking of friendships. And this is, I'm in my early 30s, so this is kind of something that I'm more or less experiencing. And having kids always changes things. But you look back and you're in high school and you go, oh, these are going to be my friends forever, right? And then you go to college and you go, oh, these are going to be my friends forever. And then all of a sudden, when you're in college, you already are kind of not as close of friends with your high school friends because you're spending all your time with college friends. And then you work a job and you spend all your time with the people you work with, and your coworkers become your friends, and college friends start trickling. It's just a whole nother like layer of that, right? You can have different avenues of your life, and as you see people, the ones that the true friends, as we know, I don't need to give anyone a lecture on this, everybody knows, are going to be there no matter what. They're going to be supportive, and they're going to be like, oh, that's cool, I like that, or whatever, and support you, give you pats on the back, be interested in what you're saying, ask you how you're doing, like all of the stuff. And if there's people that just are like, it's very easy to pick up a negative influence, in a hurry
Yeah,
in this.
I think even like thinking of like hockey, for example, I've played on teams with people where we had a blast, and I played on teams that for like one season and you're like, I just can't stand this group. And eventually you kind of find like your tribe or your team that you're like, okay, I love you guys. Let's all stick together. But, if you hop on a team, let's say, and constantly every time you have the puck, someone is just berating you. Oh my God, you suck. You like, it's not fun to be around. Not that they did that, but eventually you kind of find your tribe and the people you hang out with do have an influence on you continuing on. So I've said it in here before, but that rule of like the laws of four or laws of five, where if you hang out with four negative people, you'll become the fifth. If you hang out with four out of shape people, you'll become the fifth. If you hang out with four complainers, you'll become the fifth. But in that same token, if you begin to hang out with four in shape people, you'll become the fifth, or four people that take care of themselves, you'll become the fifth. So it's all about who you surround yourself with. And again, kind of attracting people into your orbit, so to speak. It's not going to happen right away. You're going to get that feeling like I'm the only one that's doing it. But over time, it gets easier and easier and easier because you end up, essentially leading these people from the front, like you said, and they start to kind of take after the new characteristics, habits, and patterns that you were doing along the way.
Yeah, it's exactly I think the hardest part of all of it is just the leadership thing. It's hard to just be the first one. And you can do that to anything. If you're just like, you're hanging around a bunch of hockey people and you go, you know what, I like basketball. Someone's gonna be like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, why
We're
are
a
you
hockey.
here?
Yeah, but eventually someone else goes, yeah, March Madness isn't that bad. They go, oh, you know what? When the Pistons are in the playoffs, I can really get down. And all of a sudden it's just like, okay, well, there's a play. I mean, it's not, that's a silly example, but someone's got to do it. Someone's got to and something as important as taking care of your body. As everybody ages and grows, you kind of learn, at least in my experience, you kind of you start to prioritize because, it's what we said last podcast and what kind of the whole realm of this podcast is about. So every episode gets here. At the end of the day, health is what's going to win everything, no matter what. I use the example of someone's going to give you $10 million. You're going to say, yes, absolutely. But if they say, okay, I'll give you $10 million, but you die tomorrow, then no one's going to say yes, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same thing. It's kind of an eye-opening moment, and people get to the point 9 times out of 10 where they go, what I'm doing is not working. I need to be happier. I'm going to take care of my body. And all of a sudden you go, you know what? I feel better when I do this. So then you're daily feeling better mentally. You're physically feeling better as the months progress, as you string them together. You can still have these little pockets of fun and these people that you love and interact with, but you have to trust that other people are going to get there too, I think is the biggest thing. Like if you had that breakthrough moment where you went, what I'm doing isn't enough, I got to start getting in shape, and you're catching slack from your friends or your support system, really just trusting they're going to get there too. And maybe it's through you, maybe because you're an example, or maybe not, is really the best way to just counteract those feelings instead of letting them drag you down. What's unfortunate is, and I know you know this too, we get a lot of it from spouses that are unintentionally just keeping their
Exactly.
spouse from continuing on. And in some instances, like I remember this woman. It was back before Wixom opened up, and she was just like, my every single time I joined this gym, she was somebody who was like, be a member for 6 months, be gone for a couple months, come back in. She was like, every time I rejoin this gym, my husband's just like, why are you joining it? You're not going to stick to it. You're not going to. It's like, well, that's your husband. That's insane. That's supposed to be your number one supportive person. And it's like, if you stick with it and all of a sudden start looking good, feeling good, not wanting to hang out with your husband because he's kind of a stick in the mud, you want to go hang out with your new friend support system that make you feel good, your husband's going to catch up, or he's not. You know what I mean? He's going to eventually be like, damn, you know what? She really just changed her life, and she's a lot happier than I am. What am I doing? You just got to try. It's a weird trusting thing to go, okay, If I figured it out, someone else is going to figure it out on their time also. And maybe I'm a catalyst for that, or maybe it's got nothing to do with me.
And that's a big thing. People watch in silence. Like, even though you don't see the day in, day out, or maybe somebody didn't tell you good job or how good you look, people are always watching you and they're going, okay, he or she's still doing it. He and she's still going, still going, still going. So even though they maybe not be giving you the pat on the back, they're over there still watching, going, they didn't fail. They didn't mess up. Okay, if they can do it, I can do it.
A lot of it comes from protecting ourselves too. Like you see somebody crushing it and you get jealous and your ego starts getting affected and you go, okay, well the last thing I want to do is go compliment them. So
Yeah,
it's not that
it's easier to
it's not
pull
that
them down.
right. But it's not like they're not deserving. So like if you're somebody who's been crushing it in the gym and maybe you've lost 5, 10 pounds and you notice the clothes fit different and compliments aren't coming in yet, that's not any that's just not the way it works. It's not the way people respond. People are noticing. People are seeing, wow, Susie Q is really doing great. And then, there's going to be the people that go, I'm going to go tell her how awesome she looks. There's also going to be the people that internalize and go, ah, that sucks. She's doing everything that I can't do or I'm not willing to do or whatever. And then they get jealous and it becomes a snag. So it's not that they're attacking you, but that might be why they're not complimenting you. But in either one of these examples, you're killing it. You're doing the right thing. So it's that's just not the way people work. And that's related to anything. Business, careers. You go, oh, this person's making way more money than I am. Congratulations, Johnny. Yeah, go, good for you. Oh yeah, look, you made $1 million. Oh, that's good for you. That's just kind of the way people are wired, and that's okay. We do it in private. The jealousy thing is very real. It's ego protecting and all of that, and that's okay. But um, that's why it comes down to doing it for the right reasons, right? And doing it really. Everyone who gets in shape, they only get in shape when it's the right intention. You're getting in shape just to summer's coming up. Okay, well that's very temporary. It might work, or you have a big run-in with your ex-husband coming up with a family wedding in a few months. So, okay, you're going to get in great shape, and that's going to be a good motivating thing. And then the second that's done, it's not going to work anymore. But anyone who just connects into the realistic, oh, I'm happier when I feel better in my skin. So I'm just going to find a spot to do this every single day. That's like the number one factor of everything that works. And when you do it that way, all of the fun stuff comes in. You see the ex-husband, your friends compliment you, your friends who were not the best influence kind of become interested in you. They kind of like, in a weird way, respect what you're saying more, listen to you. Like all of a sudden they go, oh, Evan's going to the gym. The next conversation is, oh, what do you do at the gym, Ev? Or, oh, I know, what do you do? And all of a sudden it's like, oh, I noticed a little tone changing because, it's like you buy in your respect in a weird way. It kind of
Yeah.
sounds harsh, but in a weird way you do, right?
But with like a lot of people, it's always easier to pull them down than it is to like elevate themselves. They're like,
Sure.
okay, if I have to jump up to your level, that means I can't eat like shit anymore. That
Yep.
means I can't skip the gym anymore. That means I can't tie one on every single weekend. It means I got to do this. So that's some work for me to do. Or the other option is I can beat you up and hope that you fall back down to me and I can kind of keep you here with me where it's safe.
And then I can still act like I'm better than you or whatever, in whatever facet or even equal to you. Yeah. Yeah. It is easier. What is easy? You know? It's the overwhelming theme again. It's avoiding hard. The harder thing is to keep up. If you're running a race, it's way harder to just keep up, or you can, you know, kick their knee out, and then you go, oh, okay, well I won.
Yeah, I'll just beat this guy and then just fly to the finish.
Yeah, right.
Tanya Harding.
Yeah,
That's exactly what happened.
that's it.
Beat that knee, give me that first
You know,
place.
that's way easier than just being better, huh?
I know. But that was it in a nutshell, guys. I know a lot of us with the spring and the summer coming are getting to that like oh shit moment where we're like, oh, I didn't do anything the past 3 months. Um,
Get away from me again.
yeah. So this is the time starting off, guys, just to get your head in the right place. And when you start off, so you don't keep falling back and falling back on falling back to what you did before, remember, it might feel a little lonely when you're starting off, that nobody can kind of figure out what you're doing. And even like as a family, like you said, have like moms, especially, you guys are like the Trojan horse of the family. Like what you bring into the household, not to make like, gender roles per se, but, the mom usually is in charge of going to get the groceries. So whatever you bring in, whether it be good, bad, or in between, usually your family will start to like conform to what you're doing. You're like, oh, it's chicken and broccoli for dinner. I'm eating dinner, so I guess it's chicken and broccoli. And they
Sure.
might give you some shit the first time. They might say, I don't want it. But if you keep on hammering it and going, okay, then you're just not eating dinner. Eventually, again, everything kind of starts to change. Your spouse will start eating different. Maybe your kids start eating different. Not to say you can't have a pizza night, but whatever you guys kind of bring into the household, everybody usually conforms to it. And if they give you crap, the first time because you cooked a healthy dinner, do it a second time and a third time, and eventually they go, oh, spaghetti squash doesn't taste that bad. Chicken and broccoli and rice isn't that bad. And they kind of get used to it. They'll recognize how they feel the next day, maybe, and go, I feel 10 times better. I don't feel lethargic all day because I had something healthy to close out the night.
Yeah, it's
Quite
bigger
interesting.
picture. It's bigger picture. The Trojan horse is a good analogy for that. Infiltrate from within.
That's right. Break down
You
the
don't
door.
feel. Yeah.
But what else,
Yep. Yep.
peoples? This was a short and sweet one. I got a
It
sore
was.
throat, so I haven't been
Yeah.
talking as much.
Our
But
Corey boy is sick.
should you need anything at all, every podcast, I'm just going to have a different one. We got
Oh, vegan.
protein. If you go to core4supplements.com, this is the vegan chocolate brownie. Delicious.
Pea protein.
Pea protein. This, as a matter of fact, has 22 grams of protein, only 110 calories in it, only 2 carbs, and only 2 grams of fat. So if you need something, if dairy does not agree with you and you don't like the whey protein for whatever reason or it upsets your stomach, this is a great ace in the hole to have, guys, the vegan protein. But we do have whey protein too. We have whey protein, vegan protein. We have sleep gummies. We have pre-workouts, creatine, pretty much anything under the sun you can possibly think of. If you head to core4supplements.com, and if you are a podcast watcher or listener and you use the code word podcast at the checkout, you save 10% off your entire order. And if you spend over $100, you get free shipping on everything. So if you want to grab a couple things for the month, stack up, then have at it.
That's
You
right,
got
baby.
anything else, Evie boy?
No, that's it. Lead from the front. It's hard to be a leader. That's
May
basically, I
1st,
think,
baby.
what this podcast is about. Yeah. It's turning the blinders on. It's you versus you, no matter what.
True that. It's May 1st, guys, so you got a whole month to set the ship right back on course if you got off track. But start it today. Don't wait till Monday, first of the month. You guys can build the new you right now. Be that person that's on the island. It's just temporary. And eventually you'll form your own tribe.
Amen.
But that's all, peoples. Have a great day. Have a great Wednesday. Have a wonderful May. And give me those balloons. Oh, fireworks.
We're going fireworks now.
We'll see you next week. Peace.